Warning. The following video will touch on some lewd themes. Lewd themes, yes. Not too lewd, but I will be making reference to some lewd themes. Hey up, Rayvers. June the 18th marks the anniversary of Columbia Records releasing the first ever long-playing album. So that inspired me to ask the Nickel Ratons over on my Patreon page for some music-themed suggestions. No musicals. I won't tell I'm musicals. Don't like musicals. And as usual, they came up with some crackers, but the rotating review randomizer decides, and it selected Whiplash. Whiplash, yeah. It's got lewd connotations, Whiplash, hasn't it? I'll talk about them later. Keith Moon off The Who, Stuart Copeland off The Police, Karen Carpenter off the Carpenters, Animal off The Muppets, and the Gorilla off the Cadbury's advert. Iconic drummers. Well, at the start of Whiplash, we meet Andrew Neiman, played by Miles Teller, and is a student at the prestigious Shaffer Music Conservatory in New York. And he obviously wants to join that pantheon of iconic drummers. He's beavering away there practising when he's interrupted by this bloke.
You know who I am?
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is a conservatory's big dog, Terrence Fletcher, played by very familiar character actor J.K. Simmons. And Fletcher is the renowned conductor of the music school's top ensemble. So Neiman is eager to impress. But immediately, Fletcher comes across as a bit of a knob.
Did I ask you to start playing again?
Sorry,
I asked why you stopped playing, and your version of an answer was to turn into a wind-up monkey.
Sorry, I thought...
Show me your rudiments.
Yeah, very clever scene this, opening scene. And you know where the film's going straight away. You've got this young lad eager to impress, and this arsehole of a conductor who sadistically torments his students. And look at that, he's just buggered off. What a knob. Now, we get to see a little bit of Neiman's life at uni, and he obviously ain't one of the top musicians there. He looks like he's the reserve drummer for this lowly ensemble, behind this fella, relegated to page-turning duties. So he slavishly practices, because he aspires to be like Buddy Rich. He's another iconic drummer, Buddy Rich, isn't he? Fabulous jazz drummer. I mean, you don't get to play alongside Animal from the Muppets unless you're a top-rate drummer. He had a memorable appearance on Parky, where Roy Castle got him playing some change out of Parky's pocket.
It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it.
It shows, he's just a class performer, isn't he? Mind you, Roy Castle was a class performer and all, weren't he? He could do out, Roy Castle. Act, sing, dance, play loads of musical instruments. He was just an all-round entertainer. We don't seem to have entertainers like that these days. Genuinely could do everything. I defy anybody to not be entertained by this clip of him and Brucey doing a turn. Of course, Brucey's inspiration famously was Sammy Davis Jr., weren't it? Who coincidentally turns up on that episode of Parky. Big mates with Buddy Rich apparently, so he turned up as a surprise, leading to an impromptu dance-off, which Buddy Rich, he could also do that. Is there anything this man can't do? Poor old Kenny Everett sat there in the corner thinking, crikey, I ain't got anything to bring to this party. Not to say he weren't good at what he did, Kenny Everett, it just weren't that sort of thing. More lewd. A lot of lewd comedy from Kenny Everett, weren't there? Hey, that reminds me, Cleo Rokos, who were in the Kenny Everett show, she were Miss Whiplash, weren't she? There you go. I bet you were thinking, how's Ray going to get this back to Whiplash? Well, there you go. And before any of you say out, that ain't my lewd magazine. It ain't. And road Fletcher turns up unannounced at Neiman's crappy ensemble practice session. And he's obviously talent scouting, getting everybody to just play a nickel bit for him so he can see if they're any good or not. And shows us again that he is a dick.
Well, you're in the first chair. Let's see if it's just because you're cute. 3, 4. Yep, that's fine.
But evidently, all of Neiman's practicing has paid off because he catches the eye over the other drummer and consequently gets recruited.
Room B16 tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. populate.
Oh, he's in. He's got his an opportunity. Now, whatever you do, lad, don't blow it and end up oversleeping. Oh, you great pillock. So after missing his wake-up call, he pegs it over to B16, only to find there's nobody there. Now, was Fletcher there at 6 a.m? And did he fail the first test? You know, is Fletcher there? No, Fletcher weren't there at 6 o'clock in the morning. He was just taking the piss. He was abusing his power and forcing this young lad to jump through a hoop and show his commitment. So he sat there like a tit for 3 hours on his own until the rest of the band turns up for practice. And you can see as soon as Fletcher walks in, oh, they're terrified of him. Look at him. Obviously rules with an iron fist, does Fletch. Still on the crack with the first ditty.
All right, gang. Whiplash.
Aha, the title of the film. So it ain't Art Kinky. It's the name of a tune. But you'd have to forgive me for thinking it were lewd. I blame Frank Boff. He were a safe pair of hands, Frank Boff. You know, whether we were presenting Breakfast TV, Nationwide, or Grandstand, or getting sexually assaulted by Emu. You could rely on Frank Boff to be a professional presenter. But that's before a scandal erupted in the press, revealing that Boff had indulged in lots of drug-fuelled orgies and several visits to an S&M dungeon in Marylebone to see a Miss Whiplash. And he got sacked for that, which seems a bit harsh because it's his private life, isn't it?
He's a very brave man.
Yeah, they're consenting adults. You know, what they do behind closed doors, their business, isn't it? Although I should stress, that is not Frank Boff. Now, Fletch, he's a bully. He is a bully. If things ain't exactly how he likes it, he'll let you know and make you look a right tit in the process.
Do you think you're out of tune?
Yes.
Then why the f*** didn't you say so?
No need for that, I reckon. No need. Abusing his authority there. But what with it being Neiman's first day, he pulls him aside and puts him at ease.
Listen, the key is to just relax. Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about what the other guys are thinking. You're here for a reason. You believe that, right?
Yeah.
So Neiman's absolutely buzzing. But once he makes a couple of mistakes, Fletcher tears him a new one. Just humiliates him in front of the rest of the band. Starts slapping him round the mush. But instead of putting him off, it seems to spur Neiman on. And he becomes even more desperate to impress this Fletch. Seems absolutely obsessed. Moves his mattress into the drum studio and destroys his hands because of all the hours of practice. Reminded me of the brutal kung fu training you see in Bruce Lee films and things like that. It's a fascinating dynamic to watch. There's all these young students desperately seeking the approval of Fletcher, despite the fact he's always horrible to them. That dynamic, it reminded me a little bit of Brian Clough.
Oh, you are a bloody disgrace! Hey, Buzz! For missing the target from there, you want bloody shooting!
Now, let me just clarify, I'm not suggesting that Clough were being outright horrible and slapping his players around the mush and stuff like that. I mean, he might have done that, I don't know. I certainly ain't heard any stories that he did that. But he were renowned for being short with him. You know, calling them plonkers and giving them around a when he needed to.
Oh, it's crap! Oh, it's bloody rubbish! Rubbish!
One of the accusations, that was always labelled against Brian Clough was that he ruled with fear.
Fear is probably the wrong word. I think some players were in awe of him, but they also felt very relaxed about going out and playing for him.
Well, yeah, I reckon Fletcher does rule by fear a little bit, or quite a bit.
If I ever find one of these lying around again, I swear to f***ing God, I will stop being so polite. Get the f*** out of my sight before I demolish you.
And J.K. Simmons, who plays him, is brilliant. Comes across as a very unpleasant, arrogant arsehole. But also, he's got this charisma. And it's totally believable that all these youngsters idolise him and want to be part of his band. You can believe it, even though he's a horrible slave driver. And Miles Teller, who plays Neiman, he's great and all. Not seen him in lots of stuff, but I was very impressed with him. Not least because of the drumming. I'm not an expert on drumming, but it looks like he is doing the drumming and it looks very impressive. But also, he just gives these ickle expressions every now and then. If Fletcher ever gives him a compliment,
Got Buddy Rich here.
he gets this big shit-eating grin on his face, delighted to have got some praise off his mentor. Very childlike. But then on the flip side, he gets crushed frequently as well, and he's very good at that. So, yeah, we're impressed with this bloke. I tell you what, also, it was nice to see Paul Reiser in this as a supportive dad. I only remember him from things in the 80s where he was normally a bit of a weasel.
This is not my locker.
Or playing that slimy turd in Aliens.
I mean, listen to what you're saying. It's paranoid delusion. It's really sad.
So lovely to see him playing a proper supportive dad who did not want to see his son bullied by this arsehole. And despite Fletcher's extreme motivational techniques, the only whiplash we saw with a piece of music they were playing. He didn't do any whipping. And unfortunately for the perverts amongst you, no lewd themes. No. Okeydoo, on to Ray's ratings. And I'd heard lots of good things about this, but I'll be honest, probably wouldn't have been my first choice of something to watch. So, you know, I'm sitting on the fence. Slap banging Miggle, 3-star film, that's what we're hoping for. But this was very good, very good. Some cracking performances from Miles Teller as the drummer and J.K. Simmons as the slave driver teacher. He got the Oscar, well deserving of his Oscar. He were horrible. And crikey, I were impressed with Miles Teller's drumming. Certainly looked very good to a lay person such as Michelle. So I'm rating Whiplash a 4-star, 3-star film. Now, despite the fact that Terrence Fletcher is undoubtedly an arsehole, this film does raise the question, did his methods work?
I was there to push people beyond what's expected of them.
Yeah, is there something behind that logic of being absolutely bloody horrible to people in order to spur them on to greater heights than they would otherwise have achieved?
You know, Charlie Parker became Bird because Jones threw a symbol at his head.
But was it because Jones threw a symbol at his head? Or was it because he were good? Yeah, would he have become that good anyway? If we go back to the Brian Clough comparison, these ex-players who played under him decades ago, they all still love him. He must have struck a perfect balance of instilling a bit of fear in his players, but also making them feel like Supermen.
Something about him, the aura about the man, he could make you do anything. He would give me the big, you know, the old A-OK. It was like a pat on the back from Brian Clough, and then when you do that, you want to get another one.
But then we do get a glimpse of Fletcher interacting with one of his former students, who obviously seems to love him. Maybe that intimidating fear factor did drive him on to better things. But then on the flip side, I don't think Brian Clough ever threw a chair at anybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of Whiplash, Rayvers. And if you did, poke the old like button for me. Give it a good old poke. Maybe whack it with your drumstick, like Miles Teller would have done. And remember to share reviews with your mates and subscribe to the channel if you ain't already a subscriber. Much appreciated. And I would like to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to you lot. Because my channel wouldn't be what it is without you lot contributing. I love the comments you lot keep popping on. And I'd like to say a special thank you to the Ratrons and Ickle Ratrons over on my Patreon page. They suggest all the films to go on the rotating review randomiser. And there's films on there that I would never pick. But they always come up with such great suggestions. And that's what's making the channel so entertaining, I think, at the moment. The suggestions that the Ratrons and Ickle Ratrons are coming up with. Absolute belters. And I'm getting to watch some cracking films I'd never otherwise watched. So thank you, you lot. All you Rayvers, Ratrons, Ickle Ratrons, if you ain't already over on my Patreon, come and join us, get suggesting. Maybe one of your films would come up. You also get early access, which avoids the sodding copyright bots. And there's monthly podcasts and brain teaser challenges and all. So yeah, come and join us over on my Patreon. I'll pop a link in the description below. I'm also going to pop some links to Buddy Rich and Roy Castle on Parkinson, and Roy Castle and Brucey just being incredibly entertaining for 2 minutes. I'd defy anybody to watch that 2 minutes and not be entertained. if you're not entertained, you're dead inside. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but it's bloody good. Anyway, copyright box permitting, I'll be back with another review for you very soon. So I will see you next time. Okeydoo!